This is the English news program on Azərbaycan Televiziya. I'm your presenter, Mehin Hacıyeva. On January 13th, President İlham Aliyev visited Tərtər and Ağdərə districts.
President İlham Aliyev attended the opening of the Tərtər electromechanical plant following its reconstruction on January 13th. The head of state first laid flowers at the bust of the national leader Heydər Aliyev, erected in the plant's courtyard. Minister of Defense Industry Vüqar Mustafayev briefed the president on the facilities established at the plant. The plant was established in 1976 as the Tərtər branch of the Lianozova electromechanical plant. It began operations in April 1977, producing electrotechnical industry products and special-purpose items. In its early years, the plant manufactured tachometer and speedometer products for motorboats. National leader Heydər Aliyev, who laid the foundation of the plant, attended its official opening ceremony in 1978. Under an order signed by President İlham Aliyev in 2005, the Ministry of Defense Industry was established and the Tərtər electromechanical plant was placed under its subordination. A range of modern high-precision technological equipment acquired from advanced countries has been installed at the facility where various types of military-purpose products will be manufactured. The design of technological lines, establishment of production flows, and adaptation to serial production were carried out by local specialists of Azərbaycan Defense Industry Holding Closed Joint Stock Company. Currently, production processes are being aligned with national military technical standards and international quality standards. For this purpose, a quality control laboratory has been established. President İlham Aliyev visited the village of Çapar in the Ağdərə district to review the reconstruction and development works undertaken there. Elçin Yusupov, special representative of the President in the city of Xankəndi and the Ağdərə and Xocalı districts, provided the head of state with a detailed briefing on the progress of reconstruction in the village. Çapar village is situated in the İmarat Garvand Administrative Territorial Unit of Ağdərə district on the southeastern slopes of the Qarabağ mountain range. It is home to historical fortress and temple architectural monuments. The village was liberated from occupation following the anti-terror operation carried out by the Azərbaycan Armed Forces in 2023. Currently, there are 104 private houses in Çapar. Of these, 41 were deemed beyond repair, while 63 were found partially usable. To date, 40 houses have been fully commissioned, with an additional 23 scheduled for restoration by the end of the year. In the initial phase of the Great Return program, 26 families have already resettled in the village. Following the briefing, President İlham Aliyev visited the family of Kemal Dadashova, one of the families who have relocated to the village, and inquired about their living conditions. The head of state attended the opening of the Gozlu Körpü hydroelectric power plant located in the village of Gozlu Körpü in the Ağdərə district. Chairman of the board of Azərenerji Open Joint Stock Company, Baba Razayev, briefed the head of state on the station as well as on the status of hydropower plants in Qarabağ and East Zengezur and the existing and prospective hydropower potential of the Tərtər river chain. It was reported that in the liberated territory, 38 hydropower plants with a total capacity of 307 megawatt produce 750 million kilowatt hours of green energy in 2025. This resulted in savings of 160 million cubic meters of natural gas gas and prevented the emission of 280,000 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The hydropower potential of the Tatachai River has been determined to include 30 hydropower stations. Currently, 22 hydropower stations are operated by Azər Energy Open Joint Stock Company. Construction of 5 hydropower stations is underway and 3 hydropower stations are planned. It should be noted that the Tatachai River is entirely within the territory of Azerbaijan. In accordance with President İlham Əliyev's instruction to transform Qarabağ and East Zengezur into a green energy zone, the Gozlu-Körpü hydroelectric power plant, built on the Tatachai, the largest water artery of the region, has a capacity of 14.7 megawatts. Despite the challenging terrain, harsh climate conditions and complex logistics, the project was successfully completed in a short period. A modern headwater intake structure has been constructed at an altitude of 955 meters above the sea level. A 13-kilometer-long diversion pipeline has been laid through mountainous terrain to transfer water from the structure to the station. For the first time in Azerbaijan, modern energy production equipment capable of operating at 25% productivity during low water periods and 100% productivity during high water periods has been installed. An open switchgear was built to connect the station to the national energy system, and an optical cable line was laid to integrate the station into the digital control system. On average, the station is expected to produce 43 million kilowatt-hours of electricity annually, saving 9.5 million cubic meters of natural gas and preventing 18,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions. President of the Republic of Azerbaijan İlham Əliyev visited Heyvali village in the Ağdərə district and familiarized himself with the reconstruction and development work carried out there on January 13th. The head of state was briefed on the landscaping activities and planned infrastructure projects in the village. Heyvali is located within its own administrative territorial district in the Ağdərə region at the foothills of the Karabakh mountain range. Prior to the occupation, the local population was primarily engaged in grain farming, tobacco cultivation, and animal husbandry. The village also housed social facilities such as a school, a community club, and a post office. Heyvali was liberated from occupation following the anti-terror operations conducted in 2023. Out of 126 private houses in Heyvali, 45 have already been fully restored and are ready for occupancy. The restoration of an additional 50 houses is planned throughout the year. All necessary conditions have been established for the settlement of the 19 families who have already returned to their native land. Later, President İlham Əliyev visited the family of local resident Sarvan Abbasov and familiarized himself with the living conditions created in their new home. President İlham Əliyev inspected the Damerli ore processing complex located in the village of Janyatagh in the Ağdərə district on January 13th. Minister of Economy Mikhail Jabbarov and President and Chief Executive Officer of Azerbaijan International Mining Company Limited, Reza Vazin, briefed the head of state on the complex. The complex includes a copper flotation plant, a well tailing storage facility, an electrical substation, and other infrastructure, covering a total area of 929 hectares designated for mining and production. The complex has been reconstructed using Turkish and German technologies. Private investments amounting to 15.3 million manats were directed to the reconstruction and restoration works. Damerli is the first mining industry project launched in Azerbaijan's liberated territories. The copper flotation plant will process ore extracted from the Damerli deposit to produce the final product, copper concentrate. The plant's annual processing capacity is 5.6 million tons of ore. The Damerli copper deposit, which had been under Armenians' occupation since 1993, was illegally exploited for approximately 10 years, starting from May 13, 2013. During that period, out of the estimated 311,000 tons of extractable copper reserves, 218,000 tons, or 70%, were illegally extracted. The initial exploitation period of the remaining reserves is planned for 2025-2030. During this period, the export of 85,000 tons of copper metal in concentrate form to the People's Republic of China, valued at 1.6 billion manats, is envisaged. At the same time, an increase in copper reserves at the deposit is forecasted in the coming years. According to preliminary geological exploration data, approximately 470,000 tons of additional copper reserves are estimated to be available. The extractable volume of these reserves will be clarified following a 4-year geological exploration and research program. At the initial stage, the complex has created permanent employment for 980 people, including 260 former internally displaced persons, among them citizens returning to the liberated territories. In the coming years, the number of permanent jobs is expected to increase to 1,250, with the majority filled by representatives of local communities. Mining operations at the deposit are carried out by the operating company Azərbaycan International Mining Company Limited under an agreement signed in 2024 between Azergold Closed Joint Stock Company and the US-based company RV Investment Group Services on the exploration, development and production sharing of several ore deposits in Azerbaijan. In accordance with the law approved by President Ilham Aliyev in 2024, the authority to represent the state under the production sharing agreement has been delegated to Azergold Closed Joint Stock Company. Comprehensive environmental protection measures have been implemented within the framework of the project. A baseline assessment and environmental monitoring were conducted, and an environmental and social impact assessment document was prepared based on the findings. Throughout the project period, measures including monitoring, laboratory analysis, afforestation works, and water recycling systems are being applied to reduce dust and noise emissions and to protect land and water resources. Upon completion of operations, technical and biological reclamation of the affected areas will also be ensured. President Ilham Aliyev pressed the symbolic button to initiate ore blasting. President Ilham Aliyev reviewed the reconstruction and development work carried out in the village of Çıldıran in the Ağdərə district on January 13th. The head of state was briefed on the projects currently being implemented in the village. Çıldıran is situated in its namesake administrative territorial district within the Ağdərə district in a foothill area. Prior to the occupation, the local population was primarily engaged in animal husbandry and crop production. The village previously featured a school, a house of culture, a library, and a medical station. The area is rich in historical heritage, housing the 12th century Albanian temple and the 13th century Red Temple architectural monuments. The occupation of the village ended following the anti-terror operations conducted by the Azerbaijani armed forces in September 2023. There are 177 private houses in the village, of which 69 were deemed unusable and 106 were partially usable. To date, 28 houses have been made ready for occupancy, and the restoration of an additional 30 houses is planned for this year. Currently, an initial group of 13 families has returned to the village. Following the inspection, President Ilham Aliyev visited the home of Verdi Abdullayev, who recently resettled in the village with his family. President Ilham Aliyev reviewed the reconstruction works in the Aşağı Orataq village of Ağdərə district on January 13th. Aşağı Orataq is located in the eponymous administrative territorial district of Ağdərə in a foothill area. Before the occupation, the village population was primarily engaged in viticulture, animal husbandry, grain farming, and tobacco cultivation. The village also had a school, a club, a library, and a medical point. Aşağı Orataq was liberated from occupation as a result of the anti-terror operation conducted by the Azerbaijani Armed Forces in 2023. The village has a total of 308 individual houses, of which 148 were unfit for use and 160 were partially usable. Currently, 100 houses have been restored and are ready for habitation. Within the year, an additional 60 houses are planned for major repair and restoration. So far, 31 families totaling 119 people have returned to the village. The head of state also visited the family of Anar Rustamov, who recently returned to the village, and familiarized himself with the conditions in their newly restored house. The head of state also met with residents of Aşağı Orataq, Çıldıran, Heyvalı, and Çapar villages in the Aşağı Orataq village of the Ağdərə district on January 13th. On January 13th, President İlham examined the master plan for the city of Ağdərə. Anar Quliyev, chairman of the State Committee on Urban Planning and Architecture, briefed the head of state on the master plan. According to the plan, the city's residential area will be expanded from 444 hectares to 522 hectares. The city's population is projected to reach 14,000 people over a 20-year perspective period. The conceptual scheme of the master plan includes a city center, individual and low-density residential areas, as well as multifunctional and public business zones. Additionally, plans are in place to establish a terrace park, a riverside boulevard, and agritourism, industrial and logistic zones. Alongside the master plan, detailed solutions have been developed for the initial stage of Ağdərə's reconstruction, which envisages a total housing fund of 420,000 square meters and the construction of an 80-bed hospital, 5 schools with a capacity of 2,520 students, 5 kindergartens for 640 children, and a vocational school. In the first phase, a 104-hectare city center will be developed, making it possible for 3,590 people to reside in the city by 2030, where the road and street network will span 46.8 kilometers and bicycle lanes will reach 10 kilometers in length. Furthermore, within the framework of the project, architectural designs for both public and residential buildings have already been finalized. After reviewing the master plan, the head of state provided relevant instructions and directives. Following the review, residential buildings intended for the military personnel of the Ministry of Defense were commissioned in Ağdərə. Repair and restoration work has been carried out on a total of 3 buildings for the military personnel of the Ministry of Defense in Ağdərə. Of the 72 apartments in these 4- and 5-story buildings, 8 are 1-room, 36 are 2-room, 24 are 3-room, and 4 are 4-room units. Every condition has been created here for the comfortable living and effective organization of leisure time for the servicemen and their families. The apartments are fully equipped with water, gas, electricity, and internet, as well as furniture sets. Extensive landscaping has also been conducted around the buildings, with new greenery planted and dedicated corners created for the residents' relaxation.
United States President Donald Trump announced the imposition of tariffs on all countries doing business with Iran. Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social that the order is final and conclusive. Any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America, Donald Trump said. Azerbaijan's National Agency for Mine Action has warned civilians traveling to and working in the liberated areas about the ongoing danger posed by landmines and unexploded ordnance. In a statement released, the agency noted a rise in mine-related incidents in liberated territories. 2 such incidents have been recorded since the beginning of 2026, the agency said. Anama said that since the end of the Second Karabakh War, at least 417 people have been killed or injured as a result of landmines and unexploded munitions left behind from the conflict. The victims include civilians visiting the region, people engaged in agriculture, workers participating in restoration and reconstruction works, journalists, military personnel, as well as employees of institutions performing their official duties. The agency once again drew attention to the fact that entering uncleared areas, touching unknown objects, and ignoring warning signs lead to severe and sometimes irreversible consequences. It's vitally important, especially for those who carry out their daily activities in the liberated territories, as well as for the population returning to their native lands to comply with the required rules. Taking the above into account, the agency called on everyone in the region, without exception, to operate only in permitted and cleared areas, to take warning signs seriously, and to immediately inform the relevant authorities when encountering suspicious objects or situations involving mine risk. That was all for today. Thank you for being with us. Goodbye.
Təyyarədə gecikmə var. Biraz yubanacağım.
Siz AzTV xəbərə baxırsınız. İndi AzTV-nin mobil tətbiqi ilə ən son xəbərləri istənilən yerdə, istənilən an izləyə bilərsiniz.
Azərbaycan Radiosu 105 FM.
Ulduzlar yatar, bircə baxışla günü oyadar. Gəl baxışınla baharı qaytar, quşlar qayıtsın, qoy qatar qatar.
Hazırdır.
Deməli hələ baxmağa vaxtımız var.
Azərbaycan Qranprisi start verildi. Aslında buradan 2 Williams'ı görürük. Davamı necə gələcək?
Təəssüf edirəm xanım, gecikmisiniz. Konsert artıq başlayıb.
Artıq AzTV-nin yeni mobil tətbiqi ilə bizi istədiyiniz yerdə canlı izləyə biləcəksiniz. AzTV, İdman TV, Mədəniyyət TV, Azərbaycan Radiosu və Beynəlxalq Radio. Hamısı bir tətbiqdə, bir toxunuş uzaqlığında. Bunun üçün mobil cihazlarınızda Android üçün Play Market, iOS üçün App Store-dan AzTV mobil tətbiqini yükləyin.